All right, time to delete a quote. Actually, I'd expect that you'd be able to do this pretty much on your own. Very similar to how we did the other things, but let's point out a little bit in terms of differences. So if we go back to our movie quotes here, let's see. Under delete, you'll notice that the delete method here in the generated code takes a string as a parameter. Let's take a peek at that. All right, so what string is this? Let's look here. Delete takes a string which is an entity key. Do you remember that on the back end, how we had to actually copy an entity key and we had to send that in? So we're going to have to do something very similar here, only we're not going to be testing it hard-coded. We're going to be taking whichever quote it is that they want to delete, right? So, say they long press in this guy and it's selected and we hit delete. So we want to take the entity key from this quote. Never fear, all right? So if you remember back within our model, any quote has a get entity method, right? And you can use that to get the entity to pass into the delete method. Okay, again, remember what you're actually doing is you're going to be creating a new delete quotes task, right? And you'll be passing in the entity key to the execute method. So take a minute and do that, and then we'll take a look at the answer. All right, so I bet you had time to do that, and let's take a look to see how we did here. So I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to be trying to recycle whatever I can here. So this is a delete quotes task, extends async task. The types here, again, we said that it needed to take a string. Don't worry about progress, and then it returns, just like insert, it returned a movie quote. All right, we will go ahead and import what we need to, implement what we need to. So do in background, again, it's kind of a one-liner. So I might even grab, well, let's see what that one-liner would be, right? So my service movie quote, call delete, pass in the entity key, which is going to be params 0 here, and then execute this guy, right? So that's basically the one-liner, and return that guy. But we want some stuff around it. So what I'm going to do is pretty much just grab things from the do in background for insert and kind of meld it together here. All right, so let's see. So something like that. So it looks good. Get rid of the return null. All right, so let's take a peek here. So make sure we understand everything. So I have a return quote. I am asking my service to delete, all right, the first of the parameters that were passed in. We only passed in one. It was actually an entity key. In fact, if you even wanted to name this guy entity keys, you could, if that made it more clear for you. And then execute the results of that deletion, right? And when you execute it, it should return a quote, right, which we return back. That is this movie quote here, okay, that's being returned. So therefore, if we have an on post execute, let's go ahead and take this guy, and we will go ahead and check to see here. So we'll say failed instead of inserting. We'll say failed deleting, but otherwise it should be pretty much the same thing. All right, and we might as well update the quotes afterwards. Okay, so where are we going to do this? Let's take a look then within our code. So the way that this works is we were allowed to delete multiple things at a time, right? So this whole thing that if we long press, then we can select a couple of them here. So that's this multi-click listener here, very similar to one that we did many units ago, but for multiple items here. So I think we put in a to-do for you. All right, so here we go. So delete selected items, right, was going to be where this happens, right? So if they actually click the delete button, then it calls delete selected items, which we would put right here. And this is essentially looping through every quote in the list of them that we want to delete. So we're basically making a bunch of individual delete requests. So new delete quotes task dot execute right? And that's gonna is again, this is the entity key. So we're gonna say quote dot get entity key. We'll pass that guy in there. And let's see. Again, it looks like I messed up the parentheses here. So take the new task and then execute it. Balance those guys out. Call this guy done. Fire it off. All right, and let's come back here, and then let's go ahead and blow one of these guys away here. So selected one, go ahead and delete it, and we see that it deletes immediately, right? And then it is doing a query after that. Let's actually, so for what it's worth here, let's sync back in with this guy. So we had Toto on our back end. I'm your father. Let's go ahead and resync this here. Right, so there's I'm your father. Let's go ahead and long press this guy, delete him. Let's go back over here and refresh, and it's gone. Right, so very, very nice. Right, I think that's it for deletion. Right, so we'll see you back next time.